Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Olson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Simple Pleasures is a little tagline I saw on a billboard shortly after crossing into Michigan on a road trip from Chicago. We truly embraced that concept all weekend long. We kept our pleasures simple, and I'm telling you, it was the best weekend ever. We didn't shop except at the farmer's market. We didn't overeat. We didn't overdrink. We immersed ourselves in the simple pleasure of time with friends this weekend, which was truly joyful as well as restorative. My husband and I were visiting dear friends in rural Michigan just for 2 nights, but we really unplugged thanks to a plan to put our phones down, to calm down and connect in real life. It also helped that we had limited cell phone service, which meant that no one was tempted to do too much work, nor were we reading the news. As far as I know, our friends don't have a TV at their home, which is awesome. We've been a bit out of touch with some of these old friends since we had kids 18 years ago. We moved from Chicago to the suburbs and led a more family-centric, quiet lifestyle, choosing not to spend as much time going out in the city as we used to. Really barely any time at all until recently. Somehow, our kind circle of friends forgave us, no apology needed, for dropping off the face of the earth for over a decade. Our weekend trip was illuminating because now that we're all getting older, everyone cares about their health, which is why I want to talk today about a thought error I hear all the time in my program. People often say things like, I went away this weekend with friends, so of course the food was a disaster. Or, we went on vacation with friends, so of course I didn't exercise all week. When people go on vacation and go off the rails, I like to call it going to the food carnival. Going to the food carnival can be a portion issue, but most often it means eating an abundance of junk food. I usually say Nova 4 or ultra-processed food, but sometimes for new listeners, it's just easier if I call it by the most familiar term, junk food. We could also use my own made-up term, NANA-FLIP, which stands for non-nutritive food-like product. This is how I entertain myself, by making up silly names for the food monstrosities we can find in certain grocery store aisles and in fast food restaurants. Coming back to the thought error that I hear all the time, people say that because they're on vacation, they have no choice but to eat like crap. Sorry, I'm having some word choice issues here. That's just the most common way people say it to me that I can repeat on the podcast. But why do we tell ourselves that it's out of our control? We just give our power away as if we have absolutely no say in what we put in our mouths. That is the thought error. I'm on vacation, so it's really not possible to make healthy choices. Of course, it happens when we're the ones going on vacation, and it also happens to many people when they're the host for visiting friends or family. I want to stop you right there if you're thinking, yeah, that sounds about right when I travel with friends or when they come here to visit. Why do we assume people are only going to have a good time if we feed them ultra-processed foods, which are known to cause weight gain and to increase the risk of diabetes, dementia, and other health problems? Or why do we think that just because we're vacationing, we have to eat dessert every night, chips every afternoon, fries with lunch, or an enormous buffet of hyper-palatable choices for breakfast? What's driving that belief? I think it's just that we have this unconscious thought about relaxing and spending time with friends going hand in hand with unhealthy eating. The more we practice that way of socializing or vacationing, the more we link those activities to unhealthy patterns. But we can just as easily create the opposite connection with some intention and practice. Our 2 nights in Michigan proved to me that it's simply untrue that traveling with friends means overeating unhealthy food, over drinking, or skipping exercise. When you tell yourself you have no choice, you're essentially giving away all of your power. And when you feel powerless, what are you going to do? You'll just eat whatever you usually eat on vacation without moving your body until your trip is over and you come back home, and then maybe use exercise as a form of punishment to atone for splurging. I hear this so often, and again, I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. I was trying to think about how to describe the Michigan couples, like couple A and couple B or something like that, because we stayed at 2 different houses or visited 2 different houses. Let's start with couple A, whose home is an absolutely charming country cottage. We stayed in their home, and when we arrived, they greeted us with the option of wine or sparkling water. We chose water, and so did they. The very first thing we did was to throw on walking shoes and take an hour-long walk together before going to the other couple's new magazine-worthy modern home for dinner. When we arrived there, couple B, modern home couple, took us on a tour, and then they served dinner, which couldn't have been more fabulous. They served salmon pre-portioned into small fillets, I would guess 3 to 4 ounces each. There was the option to take more than one piece, but I was pretty happy to just have one, and I appreciated the petite serving size. It was actually enough. Then there were grilled veggie options fresh from the farmer's market. Asparagus that was incredibly tender, like nothing we get from the grocery store or even in restaurants where I live. There were grilled red onions, yellow and red peppers, zucchini and summer squash. It was absolutely fantastic. There was dessert, but it was modest in size and it was locally made by a chef using fresh ingredients. A very small sliver of homemade chocolate torte topped with an abundance of fresh strawberries from the farmer's market and a tiny dollop of homemade whipped cream, which I really think was just cream that they whipped. It didn't taste sweetened, nothing more than the cream. I had a few bites of that and it was great. No trip to the food carnival needed. After eating that wonderful meal and a few bites of the dessert, we all sat outside, talking and laughing and catching up. Some people drank wine and others drank water with lemon or sparkling water. As the designated driver, I was happy to have water, and I left the party feeling like I ate a completely light and satisfying special meal. This is what entertaining could look like for all of us. We don't need to serve a food carnival to people we love. When we get together, what makes it special is the conversation and the time spent. I always appreciate being served a healthy meal, and I hear the same from others every single day. People often come to me frustrated when they visit friends or family and the food is unhealthy or too abundant. You might think it's a crowd pleaser when you serve people tons of unhealthy or hyper-palatable ultra-processed food or ooey-gooey cheese and bread, but I'd like to challenge that. It might be a crowd pleaser for a hot second, but if my conversations over the past 15 years are any indication, people prefer not to be offered unhealthy food. Think about it like this. If you offer deep dish sausage pizza or a salad, that's honestly not that fun for people who care about their health. The smell of pizza can be pretty overwhelming, and then choosing the salad feels like a disappointment. If you simply stick to offering healthy choices, then everyone feels great about the food. Also, it's not either healthy or delicious. As you certainly know, food can be healthy and delicious, though many people seem to forget that when they go on vacation or have guests staying with them. Back to the simple pleasures of Michigan. On Saturday night, Country Cottage couple hosted both breakfast and dinner. And I'd love to share what we ate because I think you'll find it inspirational. I know I did. And I also learned a little something about how much pie you need for 8 adults who are all having dessert. It's less than you might think, definitely less than I thought. Dinner that second night was so flavorful and healthy, and it was also fairly simple, so no one spent all day in the kitchen. There was chicken marinated in a sauce with plain yogurt and spices. There was more of that tender grilled asparagus, as well as grilled corn, and a side dish made with chickpeas, cucumber, scallions, fresh mint and dill, lemon and salt. I skipped the chicken because the chickpea salad was protein-rich and perfect for a vegetarian entree. I loved it, and so did everyone else. We did have dessert on the second night, too, and that's where I learned a little something from our Country Cottage host. At the farmer's market, they had these homemade cherry pies. Michigan is the largest producer of cherries in the U.S., and their pies are legendary. Because there were going to be 8 of us for dinner, I thought we'd need 2 pies, but our host said, I think everyone just wants a little sliver of something sweet, but no one needs much. And she was right. Splitting that pie into 8 small pieces was perfect. I thought about it later and decided we don't need to serve regret when we serve a meal that includes dessert. Before I tell you about the vacation breakfast you'll want to make for yourself as well as for your guests, let's pause for a quick word from our sponsor. Ha, just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Olson, founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. If you're as focused on your health as you are on the scale, you're my person. In my online program, we'll help you establish healthy habits for weight loss, better health, and longevity. For those of you who have looked at our website before, you'll be excited to see that you no longer have to commit to a 3-month program to join us. If you'd like to learn more about our affordable monthly membership, head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com. And we're back. If you're working on weight loss or just trying to support your health, you'll love what we ate for breakfast in Michigan. Country Cottage couple made an amazing breakfast for us, and I'm going to share it with you because the point of all this is that the simple pleasures are something you can offer to your guests when they visit too. We never have to go to the food carnival just because we're being social, and we can stop giving away our power and telling ourselves that we can tighten up again when we get home. That's silly. We have room for small splurges, and that's reasonable. Eating from the food carnival day in and day out, however, is entirely unnecessary. That's a vacation marketing suggestion dripped into our brains by people selling food and drinks. The breakfast offering included slices of whole grain toast from a local bakery, on top of which you could put soft-boiled eggs, avocado, and a homemade chimichurri kind of sauce made in a food processor with cilantro, parsley, roasted garlic, roasted serrano peppers, and extra virgin olive oil. Probably some salt and pepper, too. This recipe comes from Rick Bayless, a renowned Chicago chef. It was so good, it almost made me cry. I mean, the breakfast and that sauce, it was stunningly simple and delicious. Our Country Cottage hosts explained that they put the sauce on everything, from fish to vegetables to eggs to avocado toast. I can see why. I can't wait to make it for myself. You can make it too if you look up chimichurri sauce at rickbayless.com. After our just right breakfast each day, we took a walk. In fact, we took several walks this weekend, some longer than others, but even when we had less than an hour before we had to go meet up with the rest of our friends, we still walked. What I hope you'll take away from this episode is that the term simple pleasures that I saw on that billboard is where we can turn our attention if we want a life that's healthy and fulfilling. We don't need to visit the food carnival all day long because we're on vacation, and we certainly don't need to promote an unhealthy lifestyle when people visit us. The point is the visit, the time with friends to talk and laugh and connect, or reconnect in our case. It was never about the food. It was always about friendship. But somehow, unhealthy food seems to be what many people associate with vacation. As we approach the time for our NBA, our next best action, I'd like for you to channel your inner charming country cottage host or your fabulous modern design host and give some thought to the simple pleasures you'd like to cultivate for weight loss, better cholesterol or blood sugar, or just better health in general. Think about how you'd like to treat your own body when you're hosting and how you'd like to support your visitors by serving beautifully flavored, healthy meals and choosing activities that are focused more around moving and connecting than sitting and eating. This is important for longevity, too. My MBA is to go buy a bunch of Serrano chilies so I can make that fantastic green chimichurri sauce to slather on tomorrow's egg and avocado toast. That's going to be my simple pleasure. How about you? Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.